Pulls the Game Table, but the bonus non-game version. No, this is Dialectics After Dark for August. We're getting it in right under the wire, and we're running on kind of a skeleton crew here. It's just me and the fellas, some of the fellas. Who all we got here?
This is Justin, and tonight I'm drinking water.
Lame. This is 8 Hop. I'm drinking 291 whiskey. Okay, staying on brand.
Yeah. Then I'm Ethan. I'm drinking Tsingtao, which I had found left over from last time I was here, which was like 100 years ago. So
The people's beer.
yeah,
It's probably turned.
still tastes as good as ever. The beer's just developing its productive forces, which is yeast.
It's actually socialism.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so first segment, like always, it's the pick. We're just gonna like slam some ideology that's just like right into your dome. To quote Taylor, rest in peace. I'm gonna read. I've done a little better job this time of curating some things I want to read instead of just opening it up to.
And going like, hold on, while I scroll down.
Let's see what this is. So I've curated some things, so it'll be
You've had
interesting.
a month and a half to do it, so.
Some of these are about that old. So all right. First off, in the New York Times, CEOs should fear a recession. It could mean revolution.
Yes.
The subtitle is America's Economic Titans Want You to Know They Really Care. Doubt them. This is by Farhad Manjoo.
Care about them profits.
As a recession looms, and the nation's CEOs are growing fearful. It isn't the potential of downturn itself that has them alarmed. Downturns come and downturns go, but whatever happens, chief executives, like cats, tend to land on their comfortably padded feet. Instead, the cause of their fear appears to be something more fundamental. As Alan Murray, CEO of Fortune, writes in a cover story, more and more CEOs worry that public support for the system in which they've operated is in danger of disappearing. They're worried that when the next recession breaks, revolution might too. This could be the hour the ship comes in. The coming recession might finally prompt the masses to sharpen their pitchforks and demand a reckoning.
That's actually incredibly revolutionary on the New York Times. Like,
company executives are right to worry. A downturn will mark the end of a record period of uninterrupted economic expansion. The American economy has been growing for more than a decade. Stock indexes recently hit new highs, and the unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. Okay, so like, yeah, it's been growing for more than like, what does that mean?
Nothing to us.
Well,
yeah.
and that's the thing is like all of these. Anytime you read like, well, the economy is doing great, like,
Yeah.
For who?
Exactly. That's not like the average fucking worker, the average person. They're not doing any better.
Right.
A lot of them are doing worse.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm probably worse off than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And the unemployment rate is a 50-year low. And like, I mean, I think we've talked before about how they calculate those things where it doesn't count people who've just like decided to stop looking for a job. It doesn't count, like it counts people who have just like sort of a job. Like,
I like how the
are
unemployment rate
underemployed.
also like has no influence by how many jobs like a person has.
oh yeah, exactly.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I'm employed, but I'm having to work 3 fucking jobs
Right.
to
Yeah.
like make rent. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just these completely almost meaningless signifiers that don't actually affect
Right.
anything.
Well, like my job hires probably 5 to 12 people a week,
Wow.
and they haven't hired full time for about 8 or 9 months now.
So it's only part-time?
Yeah.
What's the turnover rate there?
High. I mean, we got like 500 employees.
Sure.
but
Oh.
Still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that might attribute to unemployment numbers because there's a lot of people getting jobs, but
Sure.
they're working 12 to 15 hours a week.
Right, exactly. Like what kind of a job is that?
At
That's not
minimum
like
wage.
that's not exactly. That's not a meaningful it's not a meaningful source of
Right.
of income. Anyway. And so this author follows that with, and yet the vast majority of Americans will not look back on the last decade as years of fat and plenty. This was a gilded expansion, a decade of creaking wage growth and profoundly unequal outcomes.
Bernie? Is that you?
The number of Americans receiving food stamps is 40% higher now than in 2008, yet we have twice as many billionaires as we did a decade ago.
Shit.
says corporate profits grew as if there was no tomorrow, but they didn't trickle down to everyone else. Yeah, they never do, buddy. Dividends and stock buybacks got bigger while CEO pay went through the rose gold roof. The rest of us got smartphones, money losing conveniences, Uber, WeWork, Netflix, and meal delivery apps, and mountains of student debt.
Fact.
And so when recession comes, we'll be right to ask, was that it? Is this the best it gets? And if so, isn't it time to go full Elizabeth Warren?
Oh my god!
What some fundamental radical changes?
That's like a
to
weird
how
turn.
The American
Really quickly.
economy works, so that we might prevent decades more of growth that disproportionately benefits the titans among us.
Holy
That's like a random turn.
Full Elizabeth Warren. Marxism, Leninism, Warrenism.
I mean, like,
that's a galaxy brain take right there.
What a letdown! What a just wet fart! Like, like it's leading up. You're like, yes.
And it's like obviously or passively acknowledging that like the wealthiest people only benefit from recessions.
Sure. But like that's what they think revolution is Elizabeth Warren?
Well, that's exactly it. And so the rest of it, he goes on. He says,
she's not even the most radical of the milquetoast quote unquote radicals.
yeah, no, it says it's that some CEOs have vowed to turn over a new leaf, giving like whatever. He says, I mean, yay, it's nice that CEOs have vowed to turn over a new leaf, but their statement lacks any call for greater structural changes in the American economy, changes to how companies are taxed or regulated, or how executives are paid, or how they should be judged.
Because they benefit from all those
And
things.
because of public corporations' most direct incentives, including the CEO's pay, remain tied to stock performance, there's no reason to believe that corporations will voluntarily move away from pleasing shareholders alone, despite the new high-minded ideals. In fact,
It's not even a novel concept.
it's a way for CEOs to tell us they're on the case, so we don't have to resort to anything unthinkable, like a Warren presidency.
Or revolution.
If I sound cynical, it's only because I'm not a complete idiot. In the Trump era, America's CEOs have been masterful at talking out of both sides of their mouths. They'll rush to denunciations of the latest outrage of President Trump in order to please their woke, restless customer bases, while on the down low, they'll champion his tax cuts and regulatory dismantling. When a president gets too rowdy, they'll tell him to knock it off over a friendly dinner. It's all a game to the moguls in charge.
It's not unique to the Trump presidency,
Stop
though.
playing.
None of this is
mind-blowing.
unique.
Well, this is mind blowing because like everything he says is correct, and then he's like, we might get pushed into do the most radical thing possible. Vote for Elizabeth Warren. Like, what are you talking about? She is a fucking. She says numerous times she is a capitalist. Like,
Right.
yeah,
She's a Democrat. Like
Exactly.
not even a radical Democrat.
and recently she was a Republican for most of her career. So like,
Jesus fuck.
this is. I mean, so on the one hand, I guess it's like nice that they've realized that they have to publish this kind of stuff.
Do they though?
Well, no, like, I mean, I think they're trying to reach out. Like, they're saying, like, listen.
They're trying to keep the Overton window to the right, basically.
It always
I mean,
blows
they're-
my mind like how different people think Republicans and Democrats are from each other.
Like some
like-
social issues.
Yeah.
But
What possible leader could you elect, including, Bernie or AOC, that would change the system structurally?
well, and that's the thing is even the best case scenario for an electoral situation is
Elizabeth Warren.
oh god no, but like even the best case scenario is like, oh well, this person gets elected and then maybe we change the Senate and then we pass some things that. How long does all that take?
Yeah.
Amazon's burning right now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
we don't
that
have
produces 20% of the world's oxygen.
We don't have time. And so, yeah. No, so what I'm saying is that, like, I guess it's nice on some level that they're feeling like we need to acknowledge that the system isn't working for most people. But, like, we need to say that the most radical possible thing is still
Right.
voting for this candidate who is thoroughly in the a safe bet.
Right.
Yeah. It's fuck, man. That's dark. I read that and I was like, this is dark. Okay.
How long you have to
We
sit
need
on
to
that?
we need to solve this problem by doing the exact same thing we've been doing. Is essentially what that article says. We've tried nothing. We're all out of ideas.
That's basically it. Okay. Yeah, this was like over a month ago, but it's this is from The Economist.
Oh boy.
Oh, by the
They
way,
actually tend to do like all right.
I don't know, man. Lenin said like these guys fucking suck 100 years ago and they're still mad about it. So you tell me how they're doing after I do this. So this is from The Economist. Half the scientists in some Eastern European countries are women. And the thing was, in Soviet times, communist regimes pressed both men and women into scientific careers. The coercion may be gone, but the legacy continues, or the legacy remains.
Pressed? You're gonna be a scientist.
Oh no!
But Dad, I want to be a baseball player.
It's like, I mean, did you see
I'd
that?
rather work at Starbucks.
Did you see that thing recently? It was a poll of like, they had the most common job that kids want to grow up to have. And in the US and the UK, it's vlogger or YouTube star. And in China, it's astronaut.
Holy shit.
Wow.
It's dark.
Unsurprising.
It's fucking dark. Okay. So it's talking about science is still a man's world. Even the EU, where sexes are more equal than other parts of the world, 2/5 of scientists and engineers are women. In Germany and Finland, it's less than 1 in 3. Eastern Europe bucks the trend, according to a recent report from Leiden University in the Netherlands. In Lithuania, 57% of scientists and engineers are women. Bulgaria and Latvia follow close behind at 52%. Universities of Poland and Serbia were ranked among the best in the world for sexual equality in research publications. Southeast Europe is roughly at parity. 49% of scientific researchers in the region are women. Some of this is a legacy. Oh, no. Dang. Sorry. I got to see if they only let you read like 2 paragraphs. I didn't realize this.
Assholes.
Bullshit. Do we want to get 12 weeks of access for $12?
Nope.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Give money to those
The
idiots.
Economist will get money from me over my dead body. Let me see if someone's like shared it.
It seemed to be going in a fairly positive direction,
I don't know.
like pointing out that the West has
yeah.
a
You knew how
long
it
way
was
to
gonna
come
end.
for social equality.
Yeah.
Like, and this is what I mean when, like, I say the Economist does better than most right wing news sources. They do point out like these social disparities that, you know, that's a valid point. Like, we do need to work on that. Even post revolution, like that's just not going to solve everything. Some of these articles are very like passively like revolutionary.
Well,
But and then they just lack like it's like having a revolutionary creature without any teeth.
Like they're trying to direct revolutionary fervor into liberalism.
Whoa. Hashtag deep.
very deep. Okay. So this one is, I don't know. I think this is just a blog. It's realclearpolitics.com.
I don't think it's going to be very clear.
Are Democrats channeling their inner Lenin?
Oh, God.
By Frank Miel. Okay. As we approach November 2020, Democrats are having their October 1917 moment. Just as the Russian
If only.
Social Democratic Labor Party back then was divided between the moderate Mensheviks and the... Oh, okay. This has to be a right-wing... Okay. This has to be a right-wing blog. Hold on.
Oh, boy.
'Cause-
Oh, boy.
Just as the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party back then was divided between the moderate Mensheviks and the more radical Bolsheviks, so too the modern American Democratic Party is divided between the moderate socialists like Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar, and Steve Bullock,
Holy
and the radical
fuck.
socialists like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. Okay, this has to... What is real clear politics?
That's some
I didn't check. I didn't
that's
check
some
this.
galaxy brain shit right there.
Does that mean Bernie Sanders is Lenin?
Ugh.
It's probably this guy.
Big
I
yikes.
can't- I mean, it's a lot.
Who was
of-
Elizabeth Warren then?
Well, okay, so they did share. They do have a thing on their front
I don't wanna
page
say it
about.
first.
They're all Trotsky in my mind.
They did share a thing on their front page called "The Cultural Marxist Attack on Western Society,"
Oh, God.
and right above that there was the 1619 Project is anti-white identity politics.
What are you doing? What are you doing over there, Ethan?
I'm so well. Okay, I saw the first bit. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be funny, and then like this is
Just
terrible stuff.
cringe.
So based on what happened during the Russian Revolution a century ago, I would strongly advise Bullock and Klobuchar, and especially Tim Ryan and John Delaney, to buy bulletproof vests or seriously consider relocating to Mexico. That bought Leon Trotsky an extra 10 years before he was finally dispatched by Comrade Stalin to socialist heaven.
Hell yeah.
Not to heaven.
not to
He should have been dispatched.
He's going to
a long
fascist
time
hell.
ago.
Biden is doing his best to rally the moderate socialists. Isn't that an oxymoron?
Letting Trotsky live after the revolution was Stalin's only mistake.
This reads like satire. Communist agitator Michael Moore, who is in large measure the theorist of the American left, told
hell?
told Brian Williams on MSNBC, only revolution at this point is going to defeat Donald J. Trump. Only people rising up and doing the work that needs to be done is going to remove him from office.
What work is that?
In case you didn't figure it out, Trump is playing the role of Tsar Nicholas II in this replay of the Russian Revolution, but he's proving much more resilient than the Tsar, having outwitted and outlasted the Democrats at every turn so far.
Oh, Jesus.
Back in 1917, the Tsar was forced to abdicate during March. That was the Democrat plan for March this year, too. The Mueller report was supposed to send Trump into exile or house arrest, or at least into an impeachment trial, but this president stubbornly refuses to cooperate with his own demise. Oh, my God. Okay. This is.
I want to know
crazy.
who Rasputin is in this metaphor.
It's you.
That's crazy. It's hard to believe that near the end. It's hard to believe that we've reached the point nearly 30 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union where we need to take a vote on whether or not communism sucks. But sadly, we do. And even worse,
And it doesn't.
In some states, the outcome of such a vote would be in doubt. It might not even be able to pass muster in the Democrat-controlled House of Representatives. These people's brains are broken. They are living literally in a different world.
Yeah.
This is literally a
What
different
the
world.
hell?
So Frank Meal, the retired editor of the Daily Interlake in Kalispell, Montana, is a
Wow.
columnist for Real Clear Politics.
Wow. Wonder how much he's making.
His new book, The Media Matrix, What If Everything You Know Is Fake, is available at Amazon.
Oh, my God.
Related topics, Lenin, communism, Russian Revolution, Cory Booker. 5. I'm gonna read the comments here. This is hilarious.
Who the fuck is Cory Booker?
He's like
He's the weird lumpy guy.
Yeah.
Weird lumpy guy.
He's a Democrat.
He's just he's like a Democratic senator.
That's how little attention I pay to
Same.
popular politics.
So a comment on this from Dwarf 1950 is 2020 is going to be a contest between those who want the freebies and are thrilled that someone else's tax dollars must pay for them, and those who have to work their butts off to pay for the freebies the Democrats hand out. If you love the idea of giving a huge chunk of your paycheck to someone who sits home and laughs at you while playing video games and watching a nice big flat screen TV paid for by you,
An investor?
by all means, vote Democrat.
What? Who's? Can I get somebody to buy me a TV?
Yeah, I didn't know that you could get I didn't know the Democrats would get you a TV.
Yeah, I buy some with food stamps.
Fuck. Okay, we'll find an actual art. I didn't realize that was like right wing, like brain rot.
Brain rot.
Okay. So this is from Current Affairs, which is a famous it's like a SocDem website. I've seen good takes in here, but the guy who edits it, his name is Nathan J. Robinson. I'm going to show you guys a picture of him
Oh boy.
because he's from Florida, but he talks with a British accent, which he has affected.
What the hell? Like he's not actually British?
No,
What the?
this is him. He dresses like this all the time.
What the fuck?
I love this guy.
No, literally, there's multiple instances of him wearing like a 3-piece suit and a hat. He's out here looking like a fucking plantation owner.
Right. Yeah.
This is bad. So anyway, he's the editor, and so but they are SocDems. He's like a anarchist who loves Bernie. You know. Anyway, but so they've published.
He reminds me of a specific local trot.
Every state should be a microstate.
What?
By Nick Slater.
Oh boy.
The fuck is a microstate?
Oh, hold on. I'll tell you. All nations of the earth should be split into microstates. This is desirable for many reasons. People would be happier, the planet would be healthier, and conflict would be less frequent. Humans have organized their societies in this way before, and good things flourished.
Just trust me, bro. Don't question
Sources, dude, trust me. The ideas and institutions developed in ancient microstates have provided the foundation for some of the greatest advancements in the history of human civilization. People love a reboot, and tiny nations too. The return of the city-state would actually be good.
What?
Like the microstate of Rome.
Like creating, like fracturing countries and creating a bunch of new states is like getting an NES classic. Or
Not
World
only
of
would it be
Warcraft
good,
classic.
it would be popular as well. People on both the right and the left are quite receptive to the idea of microstates. Nobody likes to have their lives dictated by a group of rulers in a faraway city. There's a reason why places like DC, Brussels, or London are often synonymous with arrogance and corruption.
No gods, no masters, no bedtimes.
Whether you're a libertarian or a libertarian socialist, one thing you can agree on is that a vast centralized state is hostile to the development of a just and pleasant
Imagine
society.
appealing to libertarians in your article. Fuck out of here.
Wait, oh man. So major separatist movements exist in almost every region around the world, and while their individual politics vary to great extents, they're all reflections of the human desire for local autonomy. Okay, so he gives the example. You'll find the Second Vermont Republic, which wants to secede because the United States is no longer a functioning republic, but a dysfunctional empire, unable to respond to the needs and concerns of its own citizens, the health of our global commons, and the well-being of our shared planet.
Well, that is valid.
Sure. The Republic of Lakota, and the Cascadia independence movement, a growing force in the Pacific Northwest, which has attracted more than a few white supremacists, he says. As the last...
Let's give them their own territory.
Yes, exactly. As the last example would suggest, there can be a dark side to the urge for separation. It's not hard to imagine a reasonable fascist like Richard Spencer advocating for a white-only microstate by telling black people, quote, "This hasn't worked out. We haven't made each other happier. We are going to have to take part in this paradigmatic shift together."
He's trying to break up with colonialism, with people he colonized.
In fact, Spencer used those exact words in a Fawning Mother Jones profile in 2016. There's also an argument to be made that many of the worst forms of oppression occur on the local level. As many people who lived in small towns with judgmental communities will tell you, few situations can make you feel as miserable or as trapped. In theory, the state writ large is supposed to offer both protection from such forces and an escape route when they become unbearable. You can always run away to the big city, after all. However... I
can't imagine like this guy not wearing a fedora. The entire time we're reading this.
So he's saying, okay, that could be bad. Like there's some reasons that it could be bad. However, there's no reason that a world of microstates would be incapable of offering similar escape routes or similar protections. Just as there's no reason it would necessarily entail the creation of pure ethnic enclaves like some kind of enlightened Jim Crow.
Oh, Jesus.
The appeal.
Can you imagine the like brainstorming session this guy had for this? Like, I've got a great idea. What if? I bet nobody's ever thought of this before.
Ethno microstates?
Oh, God.
Like, what if there's so many logistical problems? Like, what?
Well, hold on.
What a fucking idiot.
Well, hold on. The point is...
Who gets the best reasons?
Regardless,
who gets displaced?
Regardless of their politics, culture, or social background, the vast majority of people don't like to be controlled by absentee masters. That's why every colonial empire collapses after it expands past a certain point, and why extremely large countries, the United States, Russia, China, Brazil, must rely on brute force and heavy surveillance to maintain control over their populations. Big states are an expensive, repressive proposition. No wonder everyone hates them, or at least claims to. Microstates, okay.
I don't think people in China hate their big state.
It can be good for your bank account. The quality of life in European microstates like Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, and San Marino is perhaps the highest in the world. Oh my God. The lack of awareness. Okay. Well, it's difficult to make a blanket statement. Oh, yeah. So...
does this guy know what a history book is?
He lives in a microstate. That's why he likes it. He lives in Andorra, which is in Spain. In an article for the Conservative Journal titled "Why Small Countries Are Richer and Happier," Hans H. Gissurson argued that a combination of large markets and small states makes eminent economic sense. It also makes political sense. Okay. Oh, God. Yeah, this is fucking long, but basically he's saying, yeah, it's
like that, huh?
It do be like that, though. Yeah, it's... Of course, not all change is for the better. Imagine that in this brave new world of ours, microstate A gets all of its asthma inhalers from microstate E. The only connection between two is by train, which must pass through microstates B, C, and D to reach its destination. 3 separate states with 3 separate jurisdictions. The situation seems ripe for disaster. Every extra inspection means another hour, at least, that the lungs of microstate A's citizens must wheeze and gasp for air. It's literally a matter of life or death, and we've just raised the degree of difficulty. This isn't to suggest that America's current healthcare system is efficient, but wouldn't adding even more middlemen make things worse? Yes, but that's only assuming that microstates B, C, and D's primary motivations are the same jealousies, suspicions, and fears of contemporary nation states. Conflict may be inevitable, but the ways we use to settle it are not. Today's megastates have made a collective agreement to refrain from attacking each other with nuclear weapons. Tomorrow's microstates could make a collective agreement to refrain from other types of aggression. And such an agreement would be in their overwhelming best interests.
Just
If
give
you say
everybody
if you
nukes.
say enough wrong things at the same time, like in a row, then it must be right.
Everybody gets a nuke in their own household, then everybody's safe.
Yeah.
Duh.
Any microstate with colonial aspirations would be hampered by practical constraints as well. Obviously, it's hard to support a powerful military or sprawling weapons industry without a large population. However, with the specter of drone armies and other forms of automation on the horizon, the most realistic limiting factor to colonial aspirations is the strengthening of our own humanity.
I hate this.
No, it's so long. It just keeps going.
Thanks.
So,
I hate it.
yeah. No, so it says, so like what would prevent the colonial cycle from repeating itself? He has a section on that. And literally it's just like, trust me.
If a Brown Jenkin had an ideology, it would be this.
If only, yeah.
That was my phone.
Oh, if only microstate Z could grow small, adorable cacti, it could provide better roads. I've skipped a little bit here. He's giving some thought experiments. It could provide better roads, schools, and hospitals for its people. It could diversify its economy and improve its educational system and do many other wonderful things. And as a side benefit, your people would be able to buy as many small, adorable cacti as they wanted. Sadly, microstate Z just doesn't have the initial investment they'd need to start the whole process. But if you could just step in to give them a hand. Admittedly, it does seem like an inevitable outcome of human nature, this trend toward ever-increasing bigness, an unstoppable stream of shit forever flowing downhill into our helpless mouths borne by gravity and the irresistible laws of the market. This guy's an ANCAP. Like, He's literally saying, like, well, we will have these small, like, microstates and they'll be okay. And he thinks it's okay because he lives in Andorra, which is, like, a very wealthy, small, like, region in Spain.
I lived in Florida. You said he lived in Florida.
What?
Didn't you say he lived in Florida?
No, he lives in Andorra.
Oh.
Which is in Spain. But yeah, anyway, that's
Jesus.
current affairs. That's a bad one.
Yep, fuck that.
All right. Back to the New York Times.
Yes. My favorite.
My favorite. This is by friend of the show, Thomas Friedman, who wrote such tomes as The Lexus and the Olive Tree about globalization. He's really big on globalization. And he's also one of the dumbest people I've ever read.
Oh, good.
Trump and Xi sitting in a tree. Both men have overplayed their hand and are desperate to be seen as the winner in their trade war.
Wait, how recent is this?
This was August 13th.
This was before the new news of the like $75 billion trade sanctions that China is imposing on U.S. companies.
Well, let's see how wrong.
He was.
Friedman got it. I was glad to see the stock market get a boost from the news that Chinese and U.S. trade negotiators are talking again, and that President Trump blinked a bit and pulled in some of his planned tariffs. But don't be fooled. Trump and President Xi Jinping of China are still locked in a cage match over who's the true big dog in today's global economy.
China.
Yeah, it's China.
Both are desperate not only to win, but to be seen to win and not be subjected to the scorn of their rivals or critics on social media. Yes, she really cares about getting roasted on social media.
Right?
Yes. Jesus Christ. Precisely because neither leader feels he can afford that fate, both have overplayed their hands. She basically believes that nothing has to change, and all can be made to stay the same by the force of his will. Trump basically believes that everything has to change, and all can be made to change by the force of his will. The rest of us are just along for the ride.
It's so simple.
Jesus. So,
Why has nobody thought about this before except for me?
so if the Gonzalites just rally together on social media, then they can sway China to true socialism.
Big if true.
I'm skipping a little bit here. We want a world united by common rules, not one divided by a new digital Berlin Wall between America and China. That's a meaningless sentence. Like, this guy's he's so stupid. And if it's going to be divided, let it be because the whole world sees that China won't play by those common rules. Not simply that China refuses to submit to a U.S. president obsessed with being seen to win and appears to be interested in America's first and only. Trump's go it alone policy has in many ways made it easier for Xi to disguise the fact that no one really knows what China's position is on trade. What? First, Xi's team signaled a willingness to make concessions to Trump, and then in May pulled it all the way back. Xi has a real dilemma. China is so much more open today than it was 30 years ago, but so much more closed than it was 5 years ago. And that is because Xi has been tightening the control of the Communist Party and made himself president for life.
Do it.
Good.
Did that happen?
I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
I'm looking this up. Xi Jinping term limits. Like,
I love how difficult it is for Americans to grasp like communist politics.
okay, so they got rid of presidential term limits. It didn't mean he declared himself president for life.
Gotcha.
Oh, God damn it. So stupid. But these moves both fly in the face of what China needs to advance from a middle-income country to a high-income country. That requires more innovation, flexibility, and openness to ideas, to people, to trade. I don't buy the argument that China has found a magic formula for making political repression, state control over large sections of the economy, and innovation all work together for the long haul. I mean...
Yeah, look at their NSA. It's ridiculous.
Look at how long they've been trending up.
Trump thinks he can get all the change he needs without allies. Xi thinks he can keep everything the same at home vis-a-vis the U.S. and in Hong Kong without change. I think they're both wrong. And here's where we finish. But I'd rather be
The
Trump.
answer is always somewhere in the middle.
But I'd rather be Trump than Xi. Trump can retreat, compromise, change on a dime, and call anything a win. We saw that on Tuesday. If Xi retreats on Communist Party control over his economy and over Hong Kong, his whole system can unravel. That's why this moment is so complicated and fraught with danger.
Well, the whole American system can unravel literally any second.
At a certain point, the more things change, the more they can't stay the same.
I'm glad some like white journalist
Thomas Friedman
figured
is
it out.
so dumb. He's so profoundly stupid. Okay, I can't because I have to subscribe, which is good because this one was, what were Robespierre's pronouns? The French Revolution was led by sociopaths who politicized language, much like today's Jacobins.
Oh no!
By Peggy Noonan.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
no.
is-
So fortunately, I can't. It's a blessing that I can't read that.
Everybody knows language is inherently apolitical.
This is what we're doing. Okay, so this is what we're doing on this show. Politicians who want to heal the country can start with a round of drinks.
Nice.
Before hanging themselves.
In 2013, Esquire drinks writer David Wondrich offered to personally buy the first round anytime two senators or congresspeople of opposite parties drink together. The number of takers on the offer, good for the month, was 0. But that Wondrich could even make the offer marked that year as a rosier era, when, even if politicians didn't drink together, they at least drank at the same bars. Now,
They're notorious for spending thousands of taxpayer dollars drinking together.
Now,
the fuck is this guy
politician or
talking
pundit
about?
might be spat on, yelled at, or ridiculed during his or her visit to the wrong one. From the Moscow Mitch cocktail to guest bartending shifts by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, cocktails and bartending are being used as tools in partisan politicking. That's in keeping with a... Justin's just shaking his head. That's in keeping with
So
a noble
disappointed.
tradition. But cocktails can do more than help draw partisan boundaries. In the past, drinks helped politicians ingratiate themselves with their constituents, and bars were spaces where politicians could see each other as individuals rather than mere representatives of their parties.
When?
Drinking together could
Shouldn't
help
they
us
be
remember a
representatives?
common purpose. As a bitter presidential election season approaches, politicians should consider cutting the tension with a cocktail.
When the fuck was this ever a thing?
I'm trying to find it.
Who cares how bitter the presidential race is? Like who could give a shit? I'm completely uninterested.
Yeah, this is. I
They're
mean,
just gonna go home and cry in their mansions.
when people, it's drinking together is vitally important. I'm jumping to the end. Drinking together is vitally important. We cannot have Republican bars and Democratic bars any more than we can have two countries, one red and one blue. The more we drink apart, eat apart, entertain ourselves apart, and share our stories apart, the more we risk an increasing alienation from our fellow Americans. While we cannot excuse grave misdeeds,
I like how that doesn't apply to like any sort of social justice.
while we cannot excuse grave misdeeds, we must also not ignore each other and build metaphorical walls. Like, and then, no, it's this fucking horseshit bipartisanship centrism, which literally has only ever benefited the wealthy and the powerful. Like literally the politicians. Yeah. He wants the Democrats and the Republicans to have drinks together because they're both fucking capital bourgeois parties who disagree on a few minor things. Ultimately, they're still the representatives of the same system and have the same or most of the same interests.
Right.
Okay.
Dumb.
Dumb.
If they just sit down at a bar and drink together, They'll do imperialism better.
That's real. I mean, that's ultimately like that's exactly what it comes down to. Is the fucking oh god, I'm so fucking
Alex
tired.
is right, man. This segment sucks.
I'm so fucking tired. Okay. Let's see here. You know what? That'll do it for today. Fuck this. Fuck this shit. I hate this.
Just get angry for an hour.
Yeah, well, but it's not even like
It's just, I mean, we're perpetually angry. This isn't like an above the normal level of anger at politics. It's just another day
Another day at the office.
of bullshit. Yeah.
just I just punch into the like hot take factory.
That's every time I like open up Twitter.
Yeah, well, anytime I show up to this podcast, it's like punch in the clock. Like, all right, I'm gonna do some just punishing ideological warfare on myself.
Yep.
Okay,
It's masochism, really.
it really is. Okay, so our next segment that we will do is our mailbag. Where we're gonna, I mean, it's about 15 minutes. We'll chat with some folks, but we can answer a couple questions here. We got some good stuff. Start off light, just to do. So Tim from Discord says, we know what the people's beer is, but what's the most revisionist beer?
Comrade Brewing.
Oh yeah, so most of you all won't know about that. It's Comrade Brewing. It's in Denver. Yeah, and they we liked their logo, didn't we? Because it was like a hammer and sickle made of hops and stuff. Yeah. When we were looking at when we were talking about logos for the podcast, we were like, damn, this would be really cool if only they weren't fucking just like trying to cash in on a cool name, because they're libs, I think.
Yeah. They said that
From what Taylor said.
they have like a American flag hanging in there.
Imagine being called Comrade Brewing and you put up an American flag. It's deadly. It's just like terrible. No, but Trash Ops responded with sours with more than 2 descriptors.
No.
What? Why are you attacking me right now?
Yeah, didn't you have like the pineapple milkshake sour or whatever?
I love sours.
That was what was that? It was an IPA.
Yeah, well.
I don't know. What is the most like anti-labor brewery? I would
Budweiser.
I feel like it'd have to be.
Everything owned by InBev.
Yeah.
That sounds right. So that would be.
That's probably it. Like, yeah, the most. I mean,
revisionist.
it's not like there's any good breweries except for whoever makes, like the ones based in China, and
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some. I wish there was like fucking Cuban beer and like DPRK beer. That'd be dope.
I would love that. Vietnamese beer.
I bet there is. Well, there's the Laotian beer, right? The beer Lao.
Yeah, I think so.
Hyder bought it a few times.
Yeah.
I don't really like it, but it was.
But it's communist.
But yeah, you know, we don't talk enough about Lao.
That's true.
We'll have to do an episode on that. Okay. What did y'all want to grow up to be when you were kids?
Oh no.
You want to be a soldier?
I did, yeah.
I didn't know.
Nice.
I was
Want to be a troop?
I was like a fucking libertarian hyper-masculine douche.
I wanted to be a writer, an astronaut, and a baseball player.
Now you're all 3.
Now I'm all 3.
No.
With your galaxy brain take. Just kidding.
No, I was what was it's funny, when I was in high school I found like a thing I had filled out when I was like 8 that my parents showed me. It was like just asking questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And at one, like whenever I wrote that, I wanted to be a convenience store clerk.
What?
Wow. High hopes.
Working class. So I was like really valued.
Nice.
Dream big.
Anyway, I mean, if you're a convenience store clerk, like solidarity, shout out. But
Truth.
no, and then like I think after that,
If you wanted to grow up to be a convenience store clerk and you're a convenience store clerk now, please send us a message.
yeah, no, good work. Congratulations on fulfilling your dream. That's great.
You made it. You made it.
You did it. No, I wanted to be. I wanted to be like I wanted to act in films. And I wanted to. And then I wanted
You got halfway there.
And then I wanted to be a novelist. And then at one point I wanted to. when I grew up. When I was like 19, I wanted to work for the UN as a diplomat.
Huh.
Okay.
And then I realized
You're
that
halfway there.
and then I realized that the UN is like this imperialist institution that like is categorically incapable of doing anything that's not for the interests of like the
And an even more interesting question: what do you want to be when you grow up now?
happy. No. No, I don't know. I mean, I think about this a lot because I recently changed careers not out of choice, and so I'm like thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about like what to do, and I mean, part of me is just hoping that like the boogaloo happens and I won't have to deal with it.
That's where most of mine.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm running my theater company, which is where I get most of my career fulfillment. My other thing just pays the bills. So,
What about you, Justin?
What?
What about you?
he already said.
Yeah.
Oh no,
What do I want to be when I grow up?
Yeah, like post-revolution, what would you do?
Head the NKVD.
nice. All right, here we go. Marxist Leninist says, IDK, if you've all answered this before, but before y'all were communists, what'd y'all identify as? And we've talked about this a little bit
Several
before.
times, yeah.
An idiot.
Identified as a fucking moron. No, so I grew up as a conservative, and then I became like a lib in college, kind of, but then I became like a weird like Christian right libertarian because I read Atlas Shrugged.
God damn it! Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I read Atlas Shrugged and I was like, this book is deep.
Wow.
And then like 3 months later, I was like, that was not that deep. That was kind of dumb. And then I was like, I was like an anarchist, libertarian socialist for a while, and then in the last couple years, I became a
Principled.
like full, authoritarian bootlicking communist. Principled
Stalin
Marxist Leninist.
bootlicking.
Yeah, exactly.
You can hear my story on This Proletarian Life.
Yeah, absolutely. You should listen to This Proletarian Life for Justin's, which is dope. Well, what did you? I don't think I remember what you.
I was like new atheist libertarian.
Oh man.
Yeah.
No, I mean in high school I was conservative because I was like my parents were, and I was an idiot and didn't think about things.
Yep.
And like
Yep.
I was actually published in the Gazette here. I had
We
an
gotta dig that up.
I've looked.
We should
I
read
can't
it on
find
the
it. Let me see if I can Google it. I've looked and I can't find it, but let me see if I was just.
Do you remember the date? I bet if you could nail down the date.
It was in 2009. Let me see. It's so bad. Like and here's the thing.
You didn't like frame it or anything?
God. No, it's so bad because so literally it was a school assignment was to like I was in an AP US history class where he had us write letters to the editor like saying our poorly thought out political opinions. And so I was basically saying like I'm not old enough to vote because I was turning 18 like right after the election. It's like I'm not old enough to vote, but if I could vote, I'd be voting for John McCain. And like
Oh no.
yeah, no, I know. And like yeah, I can't find it. I think it's gone, fortunately. Like they purged their shitty archives. But like that really says a lot about the Gazette that they published that. They published
Right?
a 17-year-old like morons barely coherent like ramblings on why you should, because my whole thing was about like you shouldn't vote for a third party because my dad was going to vote for like the American Constitution Party candidate or whatever.
geez.
And I was like, I think my dad's throwing his vote away. And like
I like how, wait, is your dad Pinocchio?
no, that was
No,
me. That was my
his.
stance. It was
Ethan's
Or Mickey
Pinocchio.
Mouse?
yeah, well that was my just so I have come a long way. And basically that involved actually reading a fucking book.
Yep.
Read a fucking book, liberal.
Yeah.
Such a banger.
Hello, you've reached the proles.
Hey, it's Yakov from the other proles of the Minyan.
Hell yeah.
Never heard of it.
We're, to be honest, not that important.
Oh, it's good. It's good stuff.
What's
You
going
gotta
on,
listen
y'all?
to it.
Who's there right now?
Oh, it's just a couple of us. It's me, Ethan.
8-hop.
And Justin,
What's going on, guys?
what up?
Not much. We just I don't know. We just finished doing our like read the news segment. I think we're gonna have to figure out how to radically restructure the dad episodes because like it's not fun anymore. Just like reading all
Yeah.
this shit.
It just hurts.
It's just sad.
Pure pain.
Yeah, we should probably just pick a new theme every month and do something different, like the cooking thing or the
Cooking
Well,
was
that's not a
fun.
bad
We
idea.
could watch
Riffing a movie.
we could watch more movies. That was
yeah,
fun.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, more movies would be great. I
Riffing,
definitely like
riffing the Trotsky
movie.
episode would be cool.
It's so bad. It's so bad, guys. No. So how? What's going on with you?
Not much. School year's starting up. I'm a public school teacher, middle school history. So,
Thank you for your service.
well, it's actually. I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. Something's bothering her. So that's actually related to both the little anecdote / question I have. Because I try to weave in, as much agitprop as I can. And I had this one beautiful moment last year where we would watch CNN 10, the kids liberal bullshit news, and I would kind of like try to break it down.
CNN?
I've literally never heard of that.
Oh, it's it's terrible, but it
Well, of
is
course.
10 minutes of digestible news for middle schoolers, basically.
Oof.
And it's all it's easily streamable online. So it was just like a current events segment I would weave in to what was usually an ancient civ kind of oriented class. But Venezuela came up a lot, and I would always try to break down what they were saying and add in context. And by the end of the year, there was one story on Cuba and the sanctions and things like that, and the food crisis that was happening at the beginning of the summer. And there was this one beautiful moment where one of my students, when I asked, hey, so why is Cuba suffering from a food shortage right now? And this kid, without batting an eye, was like, well, the sanctions.
Nice.
And
Nice.
it was just this beautiful. I just had to really resist just jumping up and down and yes, because it was just pure sense of victory. But that leads me to my question. So I'm going to pretend like y'all are my admins. Give me an educational goal for this year. What piece of agitprop should I slyly sneak into my middle school classroom? What should I talk about? What should I get the kids to realize?
So you're teaching. Is it still ancient history?
So it's ancient history. Specifically this year, the curriculum shifted a little bit. So I'll be talking about ancient India, China, Greece, and Rome. But every Friday I do a civil rights and or current events segment just to kind of mix in some stuff.
Sure. Since you're talking about China, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one, I think, just with the
You could talk about the Boxer Rebellion.
Ooh, yeah. That'd be cool.
I think there's there's
U.S. imperialism might be a good thing to.
Well, right. Yeah. I think. I guess if it doesn't have to be connected to your thing, Venezuela is a good one. Hopefully, it'll be less relevant in 6 months because Trump got tired of it.
You got bored.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think, gosh, this is the thing I always thought about when I was teaching. I wasn't teaching history. I always wanted to teach history, but what are just some subtle ways to do that without getting your fucking admins crawling up your ass for because they got some parents calling you're teaching my kid communism.
Yeah, I definitely had a parent last year who was mad that I loudly proclaimed my support for Black Lives Matter and just had an all lives matter parent. So that was fun.
God.
Good.
Yep. Just
Be mad.
Yeah. It really depends on what's in the news at the time. No, I don't know. I do think
Seeing the U.S. as an imperial force and as a conquering force, I think is.
just anything on that front.
Yeah, well, and so the thing I was trying to say was that I think that there's so much anti-China sentiment in the media and just like the way that we think about politics right now that and that's only I think that's only going to get worse. And so
Like, why does the U.S. take these anti-other countries stances?
well, yeah, and even just talking about like I think there's a lot of history. I mean, there's obviously a lot of history involved in China and like how things got the way they are now and like what happened with the like international relations between the US and China, and like why is it that people talk about China so much? Like why is it that you read a lot of stories? Like why are people worried about such and such things happening there? Yeah, I mean, like the fact that you were talking about Cuba, like I think that one's great because that one comes up every so often in the news.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Cuba did some other thing, and I think most people when I was in middle school, the only thing that I learned about Cuba was I learned that there was a revolution, and I learned that they had no freedom.
And Fidel was vaguely bad.
No,
Yeah,
because
right.
because the Cubans had no freedom. And that was all I learned. So the fact that you had a kid, like I don't even think somehow astonishingly, I don't think the fact that the US was sanctioning Cuba came up when we talked about it in middle school, which is criminal on the standpoint or on the
Educators part.
on the part of my history teacher. That was criminal. The word sanctions or blockade, embargo never even came up.
Yeah.
So
I think it might have come up once for me, in when I was a kid.
and so the fact that you had a kid like independently make that connection, like that's fucking awesome. Like
It was honestly the best moment of last year. It was like it was really a tough week too. It was just a meat grinder of a week, and it was just this ray of sunshine that kept me going.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so that's my vote is China. What do y'all think? You can talk about the lion Bashar al-Assad.
Ooh, yeah, real spicy.
I'm just kidding. Just for the record.
I would say both foreign and domestic imperialism.
Well,
Yeah.
but specifically, like how would Yakov do that?
I mean,
what are things that
there's going to be little tidbits to include, throughout history, like, relations that can be made between like a specific circumstance of how I don't know much history about, ancient.
On History
Europe.
Podcast doesn't know history.
No, he's saying
Well,
no,
like
he doesn't know
ancient
about
Europe.
ancient. That's,
I know, I'm just kidding.
that's why we have Adwinkre Mundi.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
I don't know what conditions those people went through, but I would imagine that, different forms of oppression have permeated to the modern days. So
Sure.
social repressions and how they relate to like more recent social repressions.
Yeah, no, I think that works a lot. Actually works really well because a lot of the focus of the curriculum is on like major empires, whether it's in India or China or in the Mediterranean basin.
Oh,
and
sure.
so like tying in like how empire as a like governmental and social system operates could lead easily into some like open-ended questions about modern parallels and just kind of like lay out all the breadcrumbs kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the most valuable things you can do is just kind of not make the connections explicitly yourself, but like put all the pieces right there in the correct order, and then like the kids
We'll figure it out.
they can figure it out because I mean kids are smart when you like give them the info.
Yeah, and
yeah.
if you explain that imperialism doesn't need an occupying force and just kind of explain that whole dynamic, then it won't take long for kids to be like, wait a minute, but we have, military bases all around the world and we extract, we send our jobs over here, there, and everywhere. Right. And so I think even just highlighting that, you don't even have to use the word America or the US and they'll be able to put two and two together.
Right. That's good.
Yeah,
Cool.
and because I think it's laying kind of laying those seeds. I mean, when I was learning about Rome and Greece and all of that, the idea that they were these, I mean, there's the Roman Empire, but like I never understood what that meant as a kid. It was
Same.
just like, oh, they Rome, like they controlled a lot of places.
Yeah.
I had no idea
They
what
got big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with like the various economic forces and like the military conquest and the occupations and all of these things. And then it definitely didn't even come up the fact that like Rome and Greece like were slave societies. I mean, like Rome,
Yep.
we talked about Rome being a slave society when I was in so I went to a high school where we had to take 3 years of Latin. And part of that included talking a little bit about like Roman culture and society. And so like there was the idea of like, oh yeah, they were slaves, but it was more of like a job. It was like a job
God,
that they just
yeah.
couldn't leave, you know?
Everybody's job.
Yeah.
Well, right. And so I think I just wish someone had like explained or even just said the idea that like where are these slaves coming from and like all of the various economic forces. I don't know. It's just my own high school and like middle school history educations were so woefully lacking that I wish I had a teacher who like was thinking about things like you are, was thinking about
that's why I'm a history teacher, you know,
Yeah.
because I was fascinated by the subject, but always left really disappointed. And like, so, you know, I knew from a relatively early age that there were pieces of the puzzle I wasn't being told because of how like I learned about the Crusades in Hebrew school versus at public school.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
like very different approaches to that historical, you know, epoch. And so I was like, hang on, if there's a piece missing here that I'm not being told, there's got to be other ones. And that started this like, you know, my entire life journey. So like I am very actively trying to be the history teachers I didn't have.
Hell yeah.
So I definitely feel that of like, I wish someone had done this. And that's why like I'm always thinking like, how can I weave this in? What can we talk about this? So like last year we talked a lot about debt slavery and how that functions.
Hell yeah.
And
Yeah, that's awesome.
I teach in like a largely working class, like urban poverty kind of area. And there's a large immigrant populations from all over, really. We have like 60 something languages spoken in our school. And so like the connections that these kids will draw because, you know, they've come from El Salvador or Honduras or Lebanon or, you know, places like these kids, they're really ready to make a lot of these connections. You know, that kid that I talked about was from Haiti.
Nice. Yeah.
So like, yeah, always trying to just like feed into that. But yeah, I think you're right that China is probably the one that's going to be in the news the most, at least certainly in the start of the year. I mean, it's all over the place now.
Yeah, I know, and
so I
I'm
think
guessing it's
focusing
not
that-
gonna. Yeah, and I'm guessing it's not gonna be any less than
Yeah, that's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's going to be my goal. I'll report back midway through the year with my progress, and then my summative assessment to prove that I have done my academic, you know, coaching task by the end of the year.
How
Meet those quotas.
Yeah, it's brutal. So I don't know. I don't know much about how like the education system in your state is. Like how long have you been doing it?
So last year was my first year
okay.
actually like teaching. But I've been kind of like in different roles in school systems for the past 5 or 6 years, whether as a one-to-one para or, you know, student teaching or whatever. But as far as history goes, like they're just rolling out new standards within the next couple of years. So everybody's in this weird transition phase while they figure out how to shift from what it was for the past 10 years plus to what it's going to be going forward. So there's actually like a lot of room for laying the groundwork for how this is going to be taught going forward. So it's kind of nice to be in on the ground floor of like how this is going to be executed. And the state says that the goal of all the content is to build citizenship, to like, you know, build like responsible citizens. And so even though it's an ancient civilizations course, they want me to be gearing it towards modern things, which gives me a lot of leeway to talk about this stuff. So I fully intend on taking advantage of that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I imagine the idea with that is like, oh, we're talking about Athenian democracy and all of that, and then
Oh God, yeah, they definitely they want me to end on the like on Athenian democracy and Republican Rome in order to gear up the 7th graders to go into civics next year. And it's like, that's what you think you're going to get. But really what we're going to talk about is how
This is the
neither
1936 Soviet Constitution
Athens nor the U.S. is a functional democracy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. Well, yeah. Best of luck to you. Yeah, I was teaching the last 2 years. Again, not history, but that was always the dream. But like, there's so much. At least in Colorado, there's so much just like bullshit involved with this.
Yeah.
And I know I'm sure it's the same there, and I know it's that way everywhere. Just like with the standards and like
there's so much bureaucratic nonsense.
Yeah.
My parents are both teachers, and so I kind of grew up hearing all the kind of teacher room talk just like in my kitchen. So I know the hellstorm I'm getting myself into, but like I love history and I'm good at communicating things to kids. And so at some point I was working in special ed, and one of the history teachers I was working with was like, dude, why aren't you a history teacher? You know more than I do about this stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah. All right.
No, I mean, it's honestly
so, like, given my skill set, it seems, the whole like educate, agitate, organize, my skill set is useful for educating. So
Probably one of the most like useful places as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just going to say, like, I think it's one of the most important things you can do is like preparing as many like kids as possible to the idea of like eventually being radicalized. Even
right.
if
I try to use lots of like terms that are not openly communist,
right.
But like if you do a little bit of Googling, you'll see that like Marx was talking about them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I was teaching theater, and so the most I had was that I had a couple students ask me about my tattoo, which says "Peace Bread Land," and I was always just like, just Google it. But like, yeah, no, but so I think that laying that groundwork is like for kids is some of the most important work you can do. So yeah, thanks for doing that. Thanks for putting up with all of the bureaucratic red tape and all of that horse shit. But you're
nature of the beast.
You're doing good work. So
And putting up with reactionary parents.
Oh, well, there's
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, thank you for doing all that you've done. I have loved every episode. Proles Pod was actually the first like left pod that I ever discovered.
Wow.
Just because like my like podcast trajectory was finding out about history of Rome like the first year that it started, and I was just in like the history podcast world for years. But like the dry, dusty ones, not the fucking Dan Carlin bullshit. Just like the drier and like puts most people to sleepier it was, the better. And so then I was like, I'll just poke around, find some new history ones, and y'all popped up. And I was like, oh, holy shit, this is exactly what I want.
No,
by that point, I was already in ML, and it was just like, oh my God, my favorite things.
No,
Nice.
I mean, yeah, that's so good to hear. And honestly, like Proles de Mignon has become like one of the coolest fucking, like I honestly think that like the quote unquote child podcasts that have emerged is like the coolest thing that's emerged from this, more so than like any of the other stuff, like the coolest impact that I think we've had. So so thank you for doing that, and keep up the excellent work.
It is a dream come true, so I'm happy to do it.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. USSP.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for calling, Yakko. It was good to chat with you.
Great to chat with you.
Solidarity forever. Good luck.
See you at ProlesCon East.
Yeah, we'll see you at ProlesCon East when it happens.
ProlesCon East, definitely.
And yeah, you'll have to call back in a few months or so to let us know how it went. So
yeah, I'll give you my progress report.
dope. All right.
All right.
Bye.
Solidarity, y'all.
Solidarity.
Solidarity.
Bye.
When is ProlesCon East?
We don't know.
We haven't hammered down a date yet.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hi. Who are we talking to?
This is Quaddy.
Hi. How's
What's
it going?
up?
Good. Kind of nervous. Don't do this too often.
Oh, no
All right,
worries.
so you're all right. Yeah. So we got Ethan and
8-Hop.
And Justin,
Yeah.
What up?
thanks for calling.
So I guess it's the part where I ask the questions.
I mean, if you want.
If you want, yeah. Or you can just I don't know.
You can just chill.
It's just whatever. We're not we're not super concerned about what's going on.
I guess to start off with a question, who is each of y'all's favorite revolutionary figure?
Mine will be easy.
We know Justin. Say it.
JVS.
The Man of Steel.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, say a little bit about why.
He's probably the most important figure of the last, like, world transforming figure of the last 100 years.
What about Mao? I guess he was inspired by Stalin.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Stalin's a good one. Like, it's tough to argue that. What about you?
I think I'd have to say Guevara, because I relate a lot to both like the interest in medicine and like the kind of travelers. Yeah, I don't know how to word it, but
No,
I've been doing some research on Guevara recently, and I like Guevara.
Yeah, we were gonna do an episode on the Motorcycle Diaries, weren't we?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What
with
happened to
Left
that?
Media.
Oh shit!
They backed out, yeah.
They disbanded.
Yeah.
They don't do.
shit.
They don't do show. Their show doesn't exist anymore. That's why.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, so Left Media Pod was a show where they like watched movies and like analyzed them politically, and we were gonna do an episode with them on the Motorcycle Diaries, the film of the book, and then they went on hiatus, and then they just never came back.
Yeah, we were supposed to compare the book to the film and talk about the film. But
I just watched the Benicio del Toro.
Oh, the Che.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched Motorcycle Diaries and Che Part 1 and 2.
I thought Che was pretty good.
It was
Like
okay.
it wasn't as
Yeah.
like they obviously like downplayed some of the politics, but like they didn't.
Yeah.
They were pretty fair.
Kind of. They
a lot of
They went
ways.
out of their way to make Fidel look like he was like a manipulative.
So I should preface this with I didn't see part 2.
No, well, he's not really in part 2.
Oh, is he
He's
not?
just in part 1. Yeah.
It's not
okay.
really, because
I
Part
didn't-
2 takes place in Bolivia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really. I don't know. I mean, you're probably right. It was a
How
couple
long
years.
did you watch it? Yeah.
It was a couple years ago, but like, I mean, I remember watching it and being like, "Wow, I can't believe that this was like a major thing," and it's still
Yeah, it's
like
not
Fidel
terrible.
was still alive when I saw it,
Right.
so.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's-
but
I mean, it's not
It's like underhanded stuff like that tries to like.
I'm sure if I went back
yeah,
again,
you'll
I'd be
catch
like,
it if you
"Oh."
watch it. Yeah. So who's yours?
They gave him a more fair representation than most Western media
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But like, yeah, I'm
A
sure.
very more fair representation.
But I think the
Sure.
lack of politics in the films made it kind of boring. Like because there
Yeah,
was such a
I
lack
guess.
of like ideology that it just was almost like a war movie, but like a really boring war movie. And so, because there wasn't much
Yeah.
going on, right? It was a lot. It was
see
a lot
that.
of social interaction, but without the political interaction,
You're like,
there
why
was
is
no
this
weight to
happening?
the social
Yeah.
interaction.
No, I get you. I don't disagree. No, mine. Like my gut reaction when I heard the question was Fidel, honestly, just because I mean, yeah, Cuba is just it was just like such an inspiring story,
Yeah.
like fighting, being so close to the heart of darkness, and like fighting this whole time. And Fidel was just like I think Fidel was just like such a model revolutionary, like self-criticized, and just like his love for the people was palpable, and like the people of Cuba just loved him, and like he was just such a powerful figurehead of the revolution. I don't know. Fidel has a special place in my
Got
heart.
that moral vest.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
Yes.
also-
Oh my god. Cuba and the cameraman was my favorite thing.
One of the things I hate though is when like liberals and reactionaries or whatever have you, like communism doesn't work. Like look at Cuba, for example. Like, yeah, let's look at Cuba. The fact that Cuba fucking survived through the special period after the collapse of the Soviet
Exactly.
Union, where they still had a pretty like damn near complete trade blockade on them from the U.S. The fact that they got through that and
No,
are still
absolutely.
thriving to this day is just
Yeah, and the same can be
Yeah,
said about the DPRK.
incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
Cuba is inspiring.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how anyone could see that as anything other than a success story for.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is that like almost any negative thing about like Cuban society or the Cuban economy or whatever that you can point to is a direct fucking result of
Yeah.
being embargoed for 50 years by the biggest economic at that point, biggest economic.
Yeah.
force.
like I remember someone saying like, well, all their cars are like breaking down. Like, one, that's not completely true, and two, that's because they have old cars. they've been trade sanctioned for
Yes.
fuck all forever.
Exactly. It's not like Fidel was like, no new cars allowed.
Right.
Like,
Do you think they're just gonna fucking materialize like cars out of thin air? Like,
yeah, we're just gonna build a car factory here on our little island. Yeah, it's just fuck that. Yeah, so Cuba is super inspiring to me. Fidel is super inspiring to me. Close runner up is Ho Chi Minh. And if you want to know why, you can listen to our episode on it. That guy was just like, he was a real one, and they defeated the fucking U.S. military.
Yeah, because I knew next to nothing about like Ho Chi Minh and the struggles in Vietnam before I listened to the episode, and that was super enlightening.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh, and just the whole Vietnamese struggle. I mean, yeah, we could.
Yeah.
We did a whole big episode on Vietnam, but like just the whole thing with Vietnam and like what they were up against, and like the beating two colonial or like two colonial imperialist forces in 50 years is incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
3 if you
we need
include
to do an episode.
Australia.
Yeah, we need to do an episode on Afghanistan because like Amin is probably a good runner up for me. That,
we do need to do
talk about
one on
playing the long game like that dude. Woo.
Yeah. No, we need to do one on Revolutionary Afghanistan just so we can boost the book sales. No.
Yeah. So you can make like 20 cents off of
exactly.
the
Make
100
like
books we
pennies on
sell.
the pennies on the dollar. Let's see. I mean, was legit. Our boy up there.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
What?
I don't know anything about Iraq. Like, I don't know
It's
anything
true
about
because Hyder
Qasim.
was supposed to do an episode on. No, I just bring this up because we have
everything that's about him is in. You can't like. There's no English books about Qasim.
Yeah, I bring this up because we have a picture in the Proles pad. We have the room where we record. We have a picture of Iraqi leader Qasem, and Hyder was supposed to do an episode on him before he disappeared.
Yeah,
so, sad.
Sad.
Yeah, no, Ho Chi Minh's good. I mean, obviously Mao was like super important and had a massive impact on the world, and like you can't speak too low of him. We're gonna be doing an episode on Thomas Sankara soon, and he was dope as well. I don't know. How about for the one guy in the BB Bloodis Discord who kept talking shit, my favorite revolutionary is Ceausescu from Romania. No,
I thought y'all did an episode on Thomas Sankara. I might be conflating that with Rev Left. Actually.
What?
Didn't you all do an episode on Thomas Sankara?
No. Red Left did do one. They had.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm conflating it with the Rev
Brett
Left
had
episode.
a comrade from Burkina Faso do.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Do an episode, and so ours is gonna be less about. They're like, I think that one was mostly on Sankara as a figure. We're gonna be talking more about like the whole country and like the history and all of that. But yeah. Yeah, no. So those are what about did you answer? What about you? What's your favorite?
I'd probably have to say I'd probably have to agree with you with Che. Che's pretty good, yeah. I one thing I really like about Che is that like he could have stayed in Cuba and kind of lived a semi-cozy life, like living it alongside Fidel, but he chose to actively go out and help other revolutions and help spark further revolution in like Bolivia and stuff.
And his last quote before he died was like one of the most powerful things. I think it was I think it was something along somewhere along the lines of like shoot me, capitalist, for if you kill me,
you'll only kill a man. Yeah.
Fucking big dick energy right there.
Yeah.
But
what
what if he'd stayed and was still alive or had lived a long time?
I mean, I don't know. Like what would have happened? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
He'd still be fighting today.
Oh, wait, what? Claudia?
Can you also talk about the big dick energy move of like an active bomb threat being like called into the UN and you're just like, no, I'm just gonna show up anyway and still do my speed. I'm not gonna fucking die in this.
Yeah, Che at the UN was legendary. I'm excited to talk about Sankara at the UN because like I mean both of those guys just showed up to the UN and were just like, hey, I'm in your fucking country calling you out like on your bullshit. It's powerful.
So
it's
did
powerful stuff.
Mossadegh. He did the same thing.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, how'd that go for him? We got to do an episode on Mossadegh and the 53 coup. Would be a good one.
Also, on a similar note, I'm sure y'all are familiar with the yep, this one's going in my cringe compilation meme.
Yeah.
I saw one with Fidel. It's like, yep, this one's going in my Gusano compilation.
Nice.
You see a lot of that shit. Yeah. So, yeah. Fidel lives forever in all of our hearts and in the hearts of 10 million
And
Cubans.
fucking almost 700 assassination attempts. He just still goes out on his own terms.
And then I just posted this in the Discord a couple days ago.
It's that moral vest, yo.
That moral vest. No, I just posted this a couple days ago. It was some screen caps from a documentary where Fidel was talking about Che. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna read it because it was very wholesome. No, he was saying I dream about him often. I dream that I'm talking to him, that he's alive. It's a very special thing. It's hard to accept the fact that he's dead. Why is that? I'd say it's because he's always present everywhere. Like Fidel was giving a speech about Che, and I was just like, oh god. So yeah, those two guys. So those two guys, Ho Chi Minh, Stalin, of course. We all. That should be a given that we all love our big beautiful boy.
Yeah.
And then Mao.
I mean, there's too many.
There's so many inspiring revolutionary figures,
but there's also not enough.
But right, there can be it's like Wikipedia. You can add
you can add to this page
by expanding the list. Yeah, exactly. So that's what we all should be striving for. So, well, awesome. Did you have anything else you want to chat about, or?
I guess a question regarding Che and Fidel and stuff. Do y'all have any book recommendations for that off the top of your, for reading into that subject a bit?
So if you haven't read Fidel's autobiography, it's very good.
Oh, yes.
Fidel, My Life. It's very good. He's very open. He's very honest.
As he always was.
Well, yeah. He talks about the things that they fucked up. He talks about the mistakes they made, but it's just, you get a really interesting perspective on all of that. Adop, I see right now you have 2 copies of Che Guevara Revolutionary Life by.
One of them is actually.
Are any of them good?
One of them is actually Ezra's.
Is that book good?
I haven't torn into it yet.
2 copies, haven't read either.
I'm trying to read too many books at once.
Same.
It's a big problem.
I have a bad habit of starting one, making it through a decent amount, and then starting another one because it's also interesting. So I'm just trying to focus on because I want to do a episode on the IRA. So I've been focusing on Irish books recently.
Oh yeah.
So the only one I can attest to, other than the autobiography with Fidel, is the Motorcycle Diaries, of course, by Che. Which
oh god,
I don't know if it's super good revolutionarily, but it is just kind of a fun read and allows you a little bit better access into the headspace of Che as he develops his revolutionary ideology, and especially after they have to ditch the motorcycle, you can really start to see the relationship Che develops, basically trying to travel and live, not on his own, with the help of the people. And he's kind of forced to experience things through the eyes of other people that, he's helping survive and, relying on for survival in his travels. It's just a really interesting and relatable read.
The only other thing I was going to recommend about Cuba, if you haven't seen it, Michael Parenti has a lecture from back in the 80s where he was talking about, I don't remember what the full thing is. If you look up Parenti Cuba on YouTube, you'll find it. But he was just talking about a visit that he had there, just talking to different people and how people were we have, before the revolution, we couldn't, if someone was sick, we would have to carry them up over the mountain through our boss's land, and if they caught us, we'd get in trouble or we'd get shot. But now the revolution, we have a doctor in our village, and talking to this guy, this random guy on the street. He's we don't like, sometimes the streets are like dirty or like the buildings are run down, but there isn't we don't have people forced into work they don't want to do, like, and we can read now, like, and we can read, and he just talks about like literacy and the impact of that. So I think anyone should watch that just to get an idea of like the impact of revolution and of like what did happen in Cuba and like what it is we're fighting for. So that's another thing.
I remember, like, just for a quick anecdote, in Cuba and the Cameraman, there is a segment, I can't remember what decade it was in, maybe the 60s, maybe the 70s. And this guy, the premise of the documentary is that this guy goes back to Cuba like every 10 years, basically, after the revolution. And he meets like some of the same people every time he goes. And one of the times he goes, and there's this older guy, he's probably in his 60s, and he's in the road. He's just picking up rocks and taking them out of the road. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, just moving rocks off the road. And he's like, "Is the state making you do that?" or some shit like that. And he said, "No." He said, "I'm just doing my part for the revolution." And so he saw like clearing the road as like revolutionary act, and it is. But I just thought that was like, wow.
Damn.
Like, yeah.
That's awesome. It's the state making you do this. Fuck off.
Yeah, I think he says, did the government ask you to do this or something like that?
I am the government.
Foe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
God, I hate like Western media coverage of like anything slightly socialist. It's like, is the government forcing you to do this by gunpoint? No.
Yeah,
I
it's
just want to help our community.
Well, right, exactly.
But the government, my government is forcing me into debt.
Yeah, it's like there's so much like stereotype that like people in communist countries are like forced by the government to do things against their will, and it's like as if like we don't also have that in the U.S. as well, but worse. Right. Like in capitalist countries, like people talk about like how it was illegal in the Soviet Union to not have a job. The government forced you to have a job, but in the U.S., if you don't have a job, you're pretty much like out on the street and dying.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then you end up, and a lot of times you end up getting punished by like police. You get arrested. You like so like it ends up being illegal to not have a job, except that there's no like
you're not
there's
given
nothing
a house
provided for you. Yeah, like if it was illegal, quote unquote, whatever that means, to not have a job in like the GDR or in the USSR. That's because like they fucking gave you a job and you had a home and all of that.
Yeah,
like as
you did
opposed
your
to
part and they provided for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In most places in the U.S., it's illegal to sleep in public. Like how fucked up is that? Like you can't afford a home. Obviously, you're not going to be able to afford like a hotel or something, right. And you can just get fucking jailed for sleep.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Colorado Springs where we're at, like a couple of years ago, they were passing a bunch of laws about like you can't lie down on like sidewalks or benches or anything like that, and it's
steps.
Like yeah, exactly, and it's like they literally just expect people to fucking die.
Right. Well, they don't want you to see the problems.
Exactly. Like, and then shelters are underfunded, or if there's some of them are like Christian and like ask all kinds of weird like bullshit of you to get. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it's just such the way that it's framed in like the way that communism and the way that communist societies are talked about is just, I mean, obviously everyone listening to this knows this, but I'm just like, it's just so frustrating how it's talked about.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the most basic, like, well, this thing, like you had to have a job. It's like, well, if you don't have a job here, then like you, and if you don't have a job here, then yeah, you end up out on the street. And if you have a family, like your family's out on the street and like you can't feed, it's
so fucked.
It's barbaric. It is literally just, it's barbarism. And like, it's, yeah.
And in the
capitalist country, like everything that capitalist news says that Stalin did is things that capitalist countries actually.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially Churchill.
Yeah.
Aside from that, like so much of everything that's available to us is provided through our private employer. Like if I were to lose my job, I would also lose my health care.
Oh yeah.
I would lose like all this shit.
Yep. My house.
It's just you have to have a job for it. And the thing is, not every job will provide it either. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like not every job will provide these things that you can pretty much only get reasonably through a job.
Yeah. And have you ever tried to pay for health insurance just like privately? Whew.
Oof.
Yeah. So, but I mean, that's what we're fighting for, you know, like a better world for everybody, like in the whole world, not just here, like not just not just for like not just for the wealthy, but like a better quality of life for every human being, just like human basic fucking dignity. So, yeah. Well,
Thanks for calling.
yeah, thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
That was
this was fun.
yeah, it was a good good little chat.
Being a bit nervous, but yeah.
No, you're good. Thank you for thanks for calling in, and thanks for your questions. It was it's always nice to I think it's always nice to talk about like the positive, like the things, like, I mean, we talk so much about like the shit and like the horrible stuff, but it's nice to talk about like the nice, like the heroes and, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So so thanks for calling, Quaddy. And solidarity forever, and
solidarity forever.
Solidarity. See you around.
Yeah. Hell yeah. See you guys.
All right. Bye. Ba-da-boom. All right. We can do. Okay, I got one question, which is good because Jeremy's not here. What is your favorite musical genre?
Oh man,
we already answered this.
Well, that was like literally our second dad. Like it's been a while. It's almost a year, man.
Yeah.
So,
I know so little about music. I don't feel qualified to answer this question.
He likes everything except rap and country.
No, I like rap. I'm just kidding. And I like the
default answer, right?
What about you, Justin?
I don't know.
You don't like music?
I love music.
Well, what kind of music do you like?
All of it. I mean, I listen to a lot of 90s hip hop, which is very problematic, but very enjoyable. I listen
Problematic
to
fave.
a lot of 60s rock because that was when rock was revolutionizing, which was awesome. I hate the fucking 70s. I enjoy hair metal.
What?
Yeah.
What is hair
it's like
metal?
my guilty pleasure.
What
Hair metal, like
what is
Europe or Foreigner.
Oh,
Like,
okay. I mean, I've heard the term. I just never knew what it referred to.
Yeah,
hair metal. Weird.
I grew up with hair metal because that was my parents loved hair metal.
I hate it, but I also love it. It's terrible.
Oh, man.
I love like emo rock and punk rock, and I mean, I don't know. I listen to a lot of different
Funk.
shit. I'm not
Rock and funk rock.
No.
Funk rock.
Funk punk.
Stop.
Folk punk.
That's my guilty pleasure.
Revolution. I don't know. I listen to a lot of like fucking electronic. I listen to a lot of like ambient stuff. I like that. I like jazz. Contemporary classical is good, but also like old classical. I'm a basic boy. And then I like some. So Justin's gonna get laser eyes when I say this. I like a very exclusive bit of musical theater, but like not all of it. Most actually recent musical theater sucks. Like there was some good stuff in like the 70s and 80s. But not like, I'm not talking about like Cats. I'm talking about
learned
like
that
Stephen
Meatloaf
Sondheim.
actually like started in musical theater. I
He
had
was
no
in
idea.
Rocky Horror Picture Show, man.
I had no idea that this motherfucker was around for so long. Because I was thinking about it the other
Have
day.
you seen him?
Right. So here's the only reason I learned this, because I was thinking about like his shitty songs in the 90s, and I was like,
I would do anything for love.
how did this old motherfucker become famous? Right? Because I was like, nobody's like gonna try to market like a 60-year-old dude. And so I started like looking into Meatloaf, and I was like, what the fuck? He was making music in 1969? Like, what the hell?
Jesus.
Yeah. And it all sucked. Like all of his music just fucking sucks.
I mean, God, I just Googled him. He's 71 years old. So, like,
So I guess in his 50s, but
oh God.
yeah.
Wow, that guy.
He had a performance on SNL in like the early 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Like right when it started? Holy
Yeah.
shit. Wow. I just looked up pictures of him. That guy's what a strange looking dude.
One weirder one I enjoy is electro swing.
That was his thing for like a month or two.
Yeah, I was super into it
Interesting.
for a while. Yeah, yeah.
Like, was that like the recent, like in the 90s revival of like swing, or like the
Very recent. Like,
oh, okay,
a few years
ago.
like the what was it, fucking Cherry Poppin' Daddies or whatever.
No, it's more like Caravan Palace, Pavlov Stellar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll figure out one of those for the outro. Yeah,
it's very fun to listen to.
Sure,
Very
like
catchy, yeah.
yeah, it is catchy.
My crew did not like working out to it the other day. I have to point that out. I was playing that. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
To Top 40.
They made me play Smash Mouth, actually.
Oh God!
Like, unironically?
Holy shit!
Actually, it may have been ironically,
I hope. Can
but
you
they stopped
imagine?
complaining when I started playing shit like that.
Wow.
And then I got my DJ privileges revoked.
The revolution betrayed.
Because we have to do like these mandatory workouts now.
Bummer. The government is forcing you to
Literally
get
yeah.
healthy. It's fucked up. Yeah, no, electro swing. That's funny. What genre was? Do you guys remember Scatman John?
No.
What genre was that?
That has to be swing.
I don't know.
Swing. I'll play it for you. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's probably gonna do it for this month. It was a weird one because we haven't done it. It seems like in forever, and it was just a couple of us. Like we need Jeremy here to like really give us the spice.
Or
He's always laser eyes.
He's always so angry,
or
which
Taylor,
makes for
yeah.
good content. Or what?
when you get Taylor and Jeremy together,
Who?
Yeah.
then the
Jeremy and who?
yeah, exactly.
Sad. He'll be back someday. He won't.
He won't. He's not coming back.
He's
I
gonna
know.
stay in
I wouldn't
Belgium.
either.
No.
If I had
No.
the opportunity, I wouldn't. Anyway, yeah, but thanks for listening. If we said, I don't remember even what we said. If we said anything too problematic, please don't get mad at us.
It was probably me. I'm sorry.
Just talk to us and let us self-crit and we'll figure it out. No, and then thanks to our callers. Thanks to Thomas Friedman for writing such beautiful articles. Yeah, and I think that's going to do it. That's going to do it for us this month. So we're all going to be around this table tomorrow recording our Pearls of the Game table, but you'll be hearing us again soon, I'm sure. So,
Yep.
all right, have a good one, and
Solidarity forever.
Solidarity.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm a scat man. I'm a scat Everybody stutters one way or the other, so check out my message to you. As a matter of fact, I don't let nothing hold you back. If the scat man can do it, so can you. Everybody's saying that the scat man stutters but does and never stutter when he sings. But what you don't know, I'm gonna tell you right now that the stutter and the scat is the same thing. Yo, I'm the scat man. Where's the scat man? I'm the scat man. Why should we be pleasing any politician reasons who would try to change the seasons if they could? The state of the condition insults my intuition and it only makes me crazy and a hard like wood. Everybody stutters one way or the other, so check out my message to you. As a matter of fact, don't let nothing hold you back. If the scat man can do it, brother, so can you. I'm the scat man. Everybody stutters one way or the other, so check out my message to you. As a matter of fact, I don't let nothing hold you back. If the scat man can do it, so can you. I hear you all ask out the meaning of scat. Well, I'm the professor and all I can tell you is while you're still sleeping, the saints are still weeping because things you call dead haven't yet had the chance to be born. I'm the scat man. Where's the scat man?